thoughts of first practice today?
Real similar to what we've been doing. You know, with the rules the way they are, you get to practice, and a lot of times, you know, guys will use them as, you know, for workouts and for shooting in the summer and the fall, and we try to incorporate that in our practices. So we've been practicing. So this isn't really anything different. I know it's technically the official first day, but I thought they did a good job. I thought from a competitive standpoint, it gets a little bit longer now as we go, you know, for 2.5 to 3 hours. So your practice gets a little bit longer. You find out who can play through fatigue and, you know, things of that nature. So, but I thought they did an all right job. It's just, you know, it's obviously the first day.
So what do you like about how these guys developed and, you know, I guess collectively and individually?
Well, I think collectively, you know, that's what happens when you play the season and you get that figured out. Individually, you know, you see where, you know, guys have worked on things and made strides, but you have to be able to then be productive in a team atmosphere. So I think that's the telltale for them, and I think that's where we've been able to continue to improve in the last 4 or 5 years, is that we've gotten better as the years progress as a team. We've allowed adversity to make us stronger. We've allowed adversity to allow us to grow, and you know, we've become a better team each year, and we've been a different team. And then obviously this year, you know, we lost, you know, 3 really good players, so it's going to be important for us just to kind of keep learning from each other and keep working and you know, concentrate on our strengths and stay away from our weaknesses.
What's kind of your starting point on crafting style of play for this team? How this team's going to play?
Well, I think it, you know, should come to you from an organic standpoint, just organically working towards getting better. You would like to think that their production and how they play in practice will shape how I think. You know, I think that's just an important part of a team. I think as a coach, sometimes if you have a predetermined thought on what you're going to do, then you probably have a really experienced team. We don't have a really experienced team. We have a lot of guys that have played, but not a lot of guys that have played like in the roles they're going to play this year. So I think it starts with, you know, your most experienced guys that, you know, that started for us last year. I think those guys, you know, have to be good leaders for us and give us a lot of energy and give us a lot of effort. And a lot of times people look at that through how people are going to score for you, which is an important piece, but it's not the only piece. You know, you get guys that are really productive, and sometimes they're not your best scorers, but they could end up being your best players.
What about in terms of things like how much you can use Travion at the 4, how much you can use Wheeler at the 3, how much you can kind of move your personnel around?
Yeah, well, that's going to depend.
Different places.
That's going to depend on them. Yeah. You know, it's going to depend on how they're productive in other areas. I think there's no doubt that if Travion Williams and Matt Harms played together, that we would be able to score with that lineup. You know, but can we do a good job in transition defense? Can we do a good job with those other guys taking care of the basketball? You know, I think those things are more important. How's our ball screen defense going to be? You know, so those things. The meat and potatoes of it, from rebounding to scoring, really isn't a concern. You know, it's just our decision making with a bigger lineup. If somebody zones us, if somebody presses us, somebody gives us different looks with that. You know, you just have to work at those things with those lineups, and that takes time. That's the one thing that we've always tried to do is, you know, we play one defense, and a lot of people will ridicule you about that, but you put a lot of your time into one defense. You put a lot of time into your rules, you know, that you have, and so you should be pretty good at it. The same thing goes from an offensive standpoint. If you play one way, you know, you should get pretty experienced, and people always think it's, you know, if you change up things, you know, the element of change will win you a game or two, but the element of change isn't going to win you a championship. I think that's been proven through time.
But I mean, how much closer are you to knowing whether or not Travion can play the 4 in terms of his physical development?
Well, it depends on how he does. We still have 30 practices before we play a game, you know, so you got to see that. But that's not the backbone of it. The backbone of it is how he moves and how he guards people and how he plays through fatigue. You know, if you want us to play small and he can't play past 17 minutes, and Matt Harms plays 28 minutes, you know, you got 5 minutes to play with there. So you guys can waste a page and write about it if you want, but until somebody does those things and puts himself in that kind of shape to play major minutes, because he's definitely going to help you if he gets more minutes on the glass. He's definitely going to help you around the basket. There's no question about that. It gives you that element, but it can't be at our expense. You know, it's got to be something that, you know, we're really putting them in a bind, and we've done that before. And so I think people that follow us that have seen us that way, and that's helped us. But we've also got into certain games against certain people while being bigger, you know, hurt us. Where, you know, some games it helped us.
Can you talk
among the newcomers, have there been any pleasant surprises? Anything
you're saying, wow, he's more advanced than I thought he was?
No, I think they've all done a solid job. The thing I would say about all of them from the summer and the fall, I don't see a lot of separation. That's what I'm hoping for. Because a lot of times when you don't see separation from people that are competing for spots, like, I think Matt Harms and Nurgel Eastern, Travion Williams, they give you some things that the others don't. Aaron Wheeler's a unique player. He's very long. I think he can guard a couple different positions. He can shoot. He's been in our program for 3 years. If you watch practice today, Sasha Stefanovic is a guy that can stretch the defense and give you some things. But the rest of those guys have done some really good things. Brandon Newman had a really good day today. But those guys have to be able to separate themselves from each other to try to solidify themselves. And they're all kind of in a group, for lack of a better term. And so I think that's something for them that's going to be, I think that's a good thing because, you're competitive. But it's also like, you got to start figuring things out, like who you're going to play, who you're going to play together. But that's what a lot of practices do. They normally do. They normally sort some things out. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you got to go through actual games to figure out, who plays well and who plays well together.
How do you think Trey's experience overseas this summer has helped him? Have you seen any development or change in his game?
No, I haven't seen it. I think the competition really helps him. I think the confidence of being on the team and being selected and then playing against people all around the world in your age group and let you know you're one of the better players in your age group in the world and then winning a gold medal. I think that can help somebody's confidence. But in my opinion, he didn't have to make the team to realize that he was a good player. But it's also should be kind of a carrot in front of him to want to work even harder, after you have some of that success.
Matt, what do you think this team's strengths are right now going in? I mean, I know you don't have a lot of time.
Right. Oh, I would say it would start with our, we have two guys that return for us that, I thought Matt Harms is one of the best defenders in our league, even though he didn't make the all-defensive team. I think we have possibly the best guard from a defensive standpoint in our league. I think possibly we have the best interior defender in Matt. Obviously the guard would be Nurgel, and so I think that's a great start. They have a lot of experience. They played in big-time games, but they're both elite defenders. They've played in a system and been functional in a system. I think that's an important piece. Too, I think we have a lot of guys that can shoot threes. I don't think we have the same number of playmakers. Some of our playmakers are younger. Carson Edwards is such a dynamic playmaker. Just a very natural scorer. I think it would be very wise to us to get away from trying to replace him. We didn't replace Caleb Swanigan, and we still were pretty good. We didn't replace Isaac Haas, and we still were pretty good. We're not going to replace Carson Edwards. I think we can still be pretty good. But if you try to be somebody else, and so I think that's our job as a coaching staff to bring out our strengths together. And I think as the season progressed last year, we did a good job of that, and probably didn't do a very good job of it early in the year. But sometimes you need some of that adversity, like I said earlier, to grow and get better. But I like our ability to shoot threes. But we just have to take the right ones, and there's no question we'll play more inside out than we did last year. The 3 previous years we threw the ball inside more than anybody in the country. So I don't know if we'll get to that status again, but we'll definitely throw the ball inside more than we had last year.